Part 77. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 761. Xianxia is only responsible for taking out the magical artifacts from the Bronze Tower Palace, and Zhizhikong has to worry about the rest. Okay, in this case, Xuanhuan College will have another capital to attract students, Zhizhikong said with a smile. You choose a place. Before we enter the first training place, we will arrange the Copper Tower Palace. Those who are not strong enough and cannot go to the first training place can go to the Copper Tower Palace to train. As for the weapon warehouse and skill library, we will not open them until we come back, Xianxia said. Time was too tight, and she didn't want Zhizhikong to worry too much about these things. Okay, I'll discuss it with Dad later and see where it's suitable to put it. Zhizhikong also knew that Xianxia didn't like to worry about these things. Apart from her cultivation, she was not lazy at all and she couldn't worry about anything else. I won't think too much about it. The two of them arrived at Guan's mansion just as they were talking. Why were they sure it was Guan's mansion? It was just because the plaque on the gate of the mansion had already been hung up. As soon as Xianxia saw the words, she knew it was written by her father. Xianxia looked at the word Fu and felt very emotional. Things were so unpredictable. She really never thought that her family would have their own home here. They didn't even put these two words on the small courtyard of Tianshan Empire. Luoluo, Zhikong, you are back. Long Moran's voice came from inside, and she noticed the aura of the two of them. Immediately, the door of the palace opened. Long Moran looked at the two of them and said with a smile, "Come in quickly. Your father said that the palace is too big and it feels too spacious to live in it. It doesn't feel like home. He said that before you get married, you two, when I come home to live in, I have tidied up the yard for you all and it is almost decorated. You can see if there is anything that needs to be changed and what is needed to be added." Xianxia saw her mother's smile, listened to her nagging words, and looked at Zhizhikong. This is the feeling of home. With parents caring about their daily life, life has the atmosphere of fireworks. Zhizhikong also felt warm in his heart. He thought his father-in-law and mother-in-law were just moving out with Anan, or maybe taking Luoluo with them, but he didn't expect to bring him out too. This feeling of being worried about his parents was the first time in his life that he felt like this. An experience. Thank you for your hard work, Mom and Dad. Zhizhikong's tone became much more relaxed, and he directly changed to calling him Mom and Dad. Long Moran and Xianxia naturally noticed the change in Zhizhikong. Although he was shameless before, he only called her parents-in-law as father-in-law and mother-in-law. However, mother and daughter did not say anything and naturally walked to the house together. "Sister, brother-in-law, you are back. Master, you are back." Not far after the three of them walked in, two small figures happily rushed out from inside. The smile on Xianxia's face became even brighter. This is the feeling of home. Xianxia looked at her younger brother and apprentice running over and said with a smile, "Are Anan and Xiaohao getting along well?" "Very good," the two said in unison. Xianxia was really relieved this time, and it looked like she was getting along very well with her. The three of them became five and they continued to walk towards the mansion. This time there were two little ones. Long Moran didn't need to introduce them. Wan Anan and Chi Hao introduced the situation of the mansion clearly. Xianxia looked at the cozy mansion that her parents had decorated in a short period of time, and finally felt like home. "Sister, that's my yard. Next to it is my brother-in-law's yard. My sister's yard is in the backyard," Wan Anluo introduced, pointing to his own yard. Zhizhikong took a look at his yard. The appearance was the same as that of Anluo, and the size was the same. Although Anan was only 6 years old, the Chinese New Year would be coming in a few months. He was 7 years old and should live in his own yard. Because he is a boy, it is normal for him to live in the front yard. As Luoluo is a girl, It is also normal for his boudoir to be in the backyard, but in this case he cannot see Luo all the time. However, thinking that Luo agreed to him and got married after breaking through to the level, they should be getting married when they come out of the first place of training. Calculating this, Luo will only live here for a few days, and he feels better. First we went to Xuanhuan's yard. The yard was carefully decorated, which surprised Xuanhuan. After all, he wouldn't be able to live there long. Longmoran also thoughtfully asked him if there was anything he didn't like. Xuanhuan smiled and said, "No, I like it all." "Thank you, mother." Longmoran also smiled when he saw that he really liked him. Then the group went to Yanxiangluo's yard. Although it was in the backyard, a girl's boudoir, Longmoran didn't shy away from Xuanhuan not letting him follow him. After all, his daughter and Xuanhuan lived in the same palace. Yanxiangluo's eyes fell on the swing in the yard. This was the birthday gift she wanted when she was 10 years old. But something happened to her mother, and her father later went to see her mother. Birthdays were celebrated alone, and birthday gifts were even less popular. Dare to think. Longmoran watched his daughter staring at the swing and said in a gentle voice, "Your father built the swing himself. He promised to give Luo a 10th birthday gift. Although he is 6 years late, he must do it." After hearing what her mother said, Yanxiangluo's eyes suddenly became hot. She always believed that her mother was the most important thing in her father's heart, otherwise she would not have been left alone for her mother when she was only 10 years old. It was impossible not to have any complaints in her heart. However, when her father and mother came to find her and saw her mother dying, she understood what her father was doing. If it were her, she would choose to save the relatives who need it most first. Now when she saw the swing again, she really understood her father. In his heart, he had always felt guilty about himself. So much so that he still remembers everything when he left. Yanxiangluo walked over and sat on the swing. With a slight push of her feet, the swing began to swing. The breeze blew warmly. In Yanxiangluo's memory, she really did not have such a leisurely life as a little girl. Although winter is about to begin, this is the southern continent, the warmest place in the entire Xuanhuan continent, and even winter is as warm as spring. Longmoran, Xuanhuan, Xuanhuan, and Qihao stood aside and looked at her. This is the first time for them to see such a fragrance. The girl in the fiery red dress on the swing, her sweet smile, and her cheerful mood all deeply touched Xuanhuan's heart. When he first met her, the 13-year-old girl didn't even have such a girlish air about her. The first impression she gave him was that of calmness, determination, wisdom, and indifference. It turns out it's not that she's not naive, it's that no one gave her a chance to be naive. "Master, Xuanhuan has sent a greeting card." Xian came to find him. Xuanhuan's thoughts were interrupted. As soon as Xian knew that Xuanhuan was back, he received a greeting card from the Black Feather Guards. He also knew about Xuanhuan and who among the top 10 figures in the continental hegemony competition was unknown. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 762. Moreover, Xian also met Xuanhuan in the Xianxia secret realm, but I don't know why he came to Xuanhuan city. What's the matter with wanting to see his master? Xuanhuan raised his phoenix eyes and remembered the most enjoyable battle against Xuanhuan in the continental competition. He remembered that Xuanhuan lost and did not enter the top 3. Not only was he not unhappy, but he even wanted to make friends with him. Invite him in and receive him in the office, Xuanhuan said. He currently does not want anyone other than his own people to enter the palace, even the Black Feather Guards are not allowed to enter. After hearing this, Xian understood what Xuanhuan meant and immediately said, "Yes." Xuanhuan said to Longmoran, "Mom, I'll go out first." Longmoran immediately said, "Go, business is important." Xuanhuan said to Yanxiangluo, who was swinging again, "Luo, I'm leaving first and will be back soon. Yan Xianglue waved to him, go ahead, I'll make dinner tonight. Okay, Ji Zhong knew that Yan Xianglue meant to have a reunion dinner tonight. Wan Enluo ran over very discerningly, sister, let me push you. Chi Hao also ran over, count me in. Long Moran smiled happily when she saw the three children playing together. When her husband set up the swing, she thought her daughter was too old to play. Now it seems that her husband understands her daughter better. After playing for a while, Yan Xianglue reluctantly got off the swing and went into her boudoir to take a look. Long Moran accompanied his daughter in, while Wan Enluo took Chi Hao to his yard, and the two went to practice together. Ji Zhong met Chu Junya at the office in the inner city. Chu Junya looked at Ji Zhong, who had changed a lot after not seeing him for 3 months. Until now, Chu Junya still clearly remembers what he said when he wanted to make friends with Ji Zhong but was rejected by Ji Zhong. Ji Zhong said at the time that the environment in which they lived made it difficult for them to become friends. If they became friends, their smooth life would be disrupted, and they would probably face choices that they did not want. Therefore, they still just passed by. Living well. Before this, Chu Junya only made friends based on his eyesight and mood. From then on, he realized that the friends he made in this way would all go their separate ways when disaster strikes. He also understood that Ji Zhong wanted friends who could live and die together without betraying each other. Such friends must make an oath. 3 months have passed, and he has been hearing news about Ji Zhong. The main reason is that his news has occupied the first place in mainland China. It is difficult not to know. He is talked about everywhere as soon as he goes out. Chu Junya bowed first and said to Ji Zhong with a smile, Mr. Ji, I said I will come to you again, and we will definitely become friends by then. Mr. Ji, do you think I can become your friend now? Ji Zhong did not answer him, but looked at him with phoenix eyes, you are the first person who wants to be my friend. At that time, he made a decision in his heart. He hated Chu Junya. If he really came to see him again, he wouldn't mind making Chu Junya his friend. Chu Junya was stunned. He could understand that Ji Zhong had no friends here. Could it be that Ji Zhong also had no friends in the lower continents? Although Chu Junya was confused, he still said firmly, then do you think I can be your friend with such a persistent attitude? Ji Zhong raised the corners of his lips, last time you said you would come to me again, I told myself in my heart that one day, I wouldn't mind having a friend. Chu Junya suddenly smiled heartily, I was worried that I would come to you at this time, lest you suspect that I have bad intentions. It seems that I am still a villain. Indeed, it is easy to suspect that Ji Zhong came to Ji Zhong at this time to come for Zhuyuan City, and Ji Zhong did not rule out this possibility. Ji Zhong rarely smiled to outsiders, placing incense on the table. Chu Junya was stunned for a moment, and then said happily, stop. Ji Zhong signaled to Xian who was guarding the door, and Xian immediately understood and prepared. Oh my God, their master actually has a sworn brother. Is it because their mistress has a sworn brother and a sworn sister? I was cursing in my heart, but the speed of preparing things was not slow. He immediately ran to the palace and moved the incense table used by the royal family, and also brought the incense burner. Then he ran to the palace and told Yu Xianglue that he did not have the food for the tribute, so Yu Xianglue took it with him personally. The tributes are coming. When Chu Junya saw the fragrance falling, he immediately saluted and said, brothers and sisters, you are polite. Chu Junya was older than Jiju, so he directly called Yan Xianglue his younger brother and sister. Although the two were not married yet, Ji Zhong announced Yan Xianglue's identity in front of everyone. Yan Xianglue responded calmly, Mr. Chu. Xian and Changfen neatly arranged the tributes, and the incense slowly burned. Luoluo, come and witness our sworn vows, Ji Zhong said to Ruan Xianglue. Okay, Yan Xianglue did not refuse and stood aside. Raised his hand, the power of a heavenly master enveloped the two of them. Chu Junya didn't know, but Xuanhuan felt it clearly. He knew what Luo Luo meant. With the power of her as a heavenly master, their vows could not be false at all. This was why she tested Chu Junya for herself to see if she was sincerely sworn to him. As long as Chu Junya has the slightest thought, the sworn vows will not proceed smoothly. The two of them knelt down, told God one after another, and made an oath together. The sworn vows were successfully completed. Xianxia looked at Chu Junya with a much warmer look. After all, she is still very confident in her celestial master power. Chu Junya really wanted to become a sworn brother with Xuanhuan. After the ceremony was completed, Chu Junya stood up and laughed loudly. He hit Xuanhuan's fist with his fist and said, "I, Chu Junya, have lived for more than 30 years. I finally know what a true friend is, and I finally made a true friend, my brother, my life is worth it." Xuanhuan was also infected by Chu Junya's happiness, and his cold face was rarely stained with a smile. "My life is complete again." Chu Junya didn't know the hidden meaning of Xuanhuan's words, but Xianxia Luo knew. Chu Junya was Xuanhuan's first friend and brother in his life. Xianxia Luo smiled and said to the two of them, "You guys chat, I'll go cook, and I'll ask Hanan to call you back for dinner later." "Thank you for your help, brothers and sisters." Chu Junya was very familiar with him. Xuanhuan watched Xianxia Luo return to Yan's house with gentle eyes. Chu Junya said jokingly, "Didn't you come from a lower continent together? I look at you as if I haven't seen you for a long time, and you are all glued to my brother and sister." "You haven't heard a word." Xuanhuan withdrew his gaze and glanced at Chu Junya. "What are you talking about?" Chu Junya asked doubtfully. "One day without seeing you is like 3 autumns apart," Xuanhuan said calmly. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 763. Chu Junya was stunned for a moment, then laughed loudly and said, "But haven't you been together these days?" Xuanhuan's eyes were extremely soft. "We haven't seen each other for half an hour. If we calculate that one day is like 3 autumns, it has been a long time." Chu Junya was speechless. "Do you have such deep feelings?" In his understanding, marriage is used by 2 wealthy families to maintain their relationship, and it is used by ordinary people to live together and pass on the family line. To say how much true love there is between husband and wife, there is no lie at all, but if he says there is a lot, he really doesn't believe it. Just like when his father married his mother, although it was a family marriage, they grew up together as childhood sweethearts and had feelings for each other. His father didn't just bring in a concubine on the left and a concubine on the right. They were just a concubine and a concubine. There are more than a dozen. The deep feelings between us cannot be expressed." Xuanhuan didn't want to talk too much about his relationship with Luo Luo, even if this person was a brother he recognized. So he changed the subject. "I have a way to take people into the first training place. Do you want to go in?" Sure enough, these words immediately brought Chu Junya's thoughts back. "Are you serious? Is it necessary to lie to you?" Xuanhuan was speechless. Chu Junya immediately stood up. "Go, you must go. I was originally going for the first place in this continental competition. Who would have thought that when I met you, I didn't even make it into the top 3. I thought I had no chance to make it into the first place. I've been practicing for a long time. I couldn't have imagined the joy coming from heaven, brother, thank you." Xuanhuan also has some understanding of Chu Junya's character. Although he was born and raised in a big family, Chu Junya is not so strict with himself because he is not the eldest son. Although his cultivation talent is excellent, he does not restrict himself. What to do, therefore, develop such a cheerful character? In fact, this is good. Such people are more likely to feel happy. You can bring people in if you want to, or people in the family, but those who want to come in must swear an oath not to do anything harmful to Xuanhuan City, and not to be enemies of Luoluo and me, Ji Zhong said again. Chu Junya was stunned. Brother, can you bring so many people in? Ji Ju nodded. Chu Junya said with a serious expression, you have to think clearly. Since you have brought so many people in, your secrets will be exposed when these people come out. It is not suitable for you to add more enemies now. Ji Zhong smiled. He knew that Chu Junya was doing it for his own good. It was just to have fewer enemies that I decided like this. After finishing his words, he added, moreover, the stronger my friends are, the fewer my enemies will be. Chu Junya understood what Ji Zhong meant this time, and he said with emotion, brother, I am impressed by your courage and strategy. His father and brother are also smart people, but he currently only knows Ji Zhong as a person who has the courage to share the opportunity to improve his strength. Ji Zhong said nonchalantly, in the past, anyone with sufficient cultivation level could enter the first training place. Chu Junya sighed, you also said that was in the past. I thought to myself, that was when your Ji family ruled the mainland, could it be the same? Thinking of the past glory of the Ji family, Chu Junya asked, you really don't want to be the human emperor? You know, with Ji Zhong's strength, although it is impossible to succeed at once if he wants to become the human emperor, as long as the benefits are enough, there will be many families willing to stand by him, and then use his wisdom to plan. The possibility of success is not small. Ji Zhong glanced at him, no interest, no time. Chu Junya's mouth twitched for a moment, and then he gave him a thumbs up, brother, you are awesome. This is the first time he has heard of someone who is not interested in becoming the king of mankind. Not only that, he does not have the time to become one. He didn't understand. Ji Zhong had already built Xuanhuan City, but he didn't want to be the human emperor. Why was he so busy? Brother, what are you busy with? Is there anything I can do to help you? Chu Junya shrugged. Ji Zhong said, I'm going to Zhongtian, can you help me? Chu Junya rolled his eyes at him, are you kidding me? There are so many old guys on the mainland who have been waiting for 1800 years and are unable to go to the 9 heavens. If I had the ability, I would have been raised by them long ago. Chu Junya felt that Ji Zhong's words were teasing him, and they were just words. After all, the door to Zhongtian has been sealed. Unless the people over there open it for you, the people of Xuanhuan continent will never be able to communicate with Zhong. Out of heaven. Ji Zhong's phoenix eyes were filled with a smile, you don't want to go to Zhongtian. I want to, but it's useless for me to think about it. Chu Junya spread his hands. Ji Zhongtian nodded, that's right, it's better to practice quickly and improve your cultivation level. The door to the 9 heavens will open one day. Don't let the opportunity arise when the time comes. You're not strong enough. Chu Junya thought he was encouraging him, cultivation is necessary. Even if you can't go to the 9 heavens, it won't work if you don't have enough strength in this continent. Xuanhuan ran over quietly, followed by Chi Hao, brother-in-law, my sister asked me to call you back for dinner. The two of them are now together from morning to night, rarely sleep at night, and just practice together. Chu Junya looked at Yuan Onluo and didn't need an introduction. This face was just like the one plucked from Yuan Xiongluo's face. It was so similar. Is this your brother-in-law? Chu Junya heard Yuan Onluo calling Ji Zhong brother-in-law. Ji Zhong stood up and said, yes, Enan, this is your brother Chu. Yuan Onluo immediately saluted Chu Junya and said, brother Chu. Chu Junya immediately took out a box and said, here, this is a meeting gift. Yuan Onluo looked at Ji Zhong, saw Ji Zhong nodded, and then reached out to take it, thank you, brother Chu. Chu Junya's eyes were full of smiles. He really liked children. Ji Zhong said to Chi Hao, Xiao Hao, this is your Uncle Chu. Chu Junya's mouth twitched. This brother-in-law looked to be 2 years older than Ji Hong. How could he be a generation shorter? Chi Hao immediately saluted appropriately. Chi Hao has met Uncle Chu. Ji Hong told Chu Junya, Xiao Hao is Luoluo's disciple. Chu Junya's eyes lit up. This kid had a talent for alchemy. He didn't realize that such a young child was actually an alchemist. Another meeting gift was given to Chi Hao. Chi Hao also received the gift only after Ji Hong agreed. The four of them walked to Yu's house together. Chu Junya was curious that they didn't live in the palace, but he didn't ask so inappropriately, so they came to the palace together. I saw the couple Xianxia and Long Moran, and then I was attracted by the tempting smell of the food. Oh my god, it's been a long time since I've eaten such delicious food, Chu Junya said exaggeratedly. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 764. Ji Hong said, do you think anyone can eat the food Luoluo cooks? Chu Junya then remembered that Yu Xiongluo was a miraculous doctor, and he actually ate the food cooked by the miraculous doctor. Why was he even more excited than when he had sworn friends just now? Originally, I wanted to have a meal together as a family, but this time with Chu Junya joining us, and the two excited children Anan and Chi Hao, the meal was extremely enjoyable. It was also the first time that Chu Junya saw a family that did not ask for rules at the dinner table. They could chat freely and eat while chatting. The atmosphere was so warm that he felt that all his previous meals were in vain. Most importantly, it was the first time in his life that he had eaten such delicious food. He felt that it was too late for him to become a brother to Ji Hong. Had he clung to Ji Hong as soon as the continental competition was over, he would have eaten so much delicious food. Chu Junya originally wanted to stay here for a few days, and then he would go home after sending Ji Hong to the first training place. Now because Ji Hong said that he could follow him in or bring others in, this would only be 3 days. After 4 days of work, he had to go back and prepare. The first place of training is not so easy to get out of after entering it. After sending Chu Junya away, Chi Hao and Anan went back to practice in Anan's yard. Ji Hong, Wan Xiongluo, and Wan Chenjai went to see Gizmo together. Gizmo is the only person they know who has been to the first place of training. Before going in, they always have to learn from the experience and be fully prepared. First of all, how much do you know about the first place of training? Gizmo asked. Ji Kong and Guan Chenjai looked at each other, and Guan Chenjai spoke first. The information I know was bought from I don't know at that time. I bought news about the secret realm of the entire continent, including the first training place. Although Yan Chenjai won the first place in the continental competition, not to mention that his first place was to buy life-saving medicine for his wife Long Moran, so he gave his qualification to someone else. Not to mention that he was the first place last time. There is no such reward for the name. This is the most special one. It seems that too many strong men were needed to open the first training place, and something went wrong that time, so the reward was cancelled. After he finished telling the information he knew, Ji Hong said, I know this much. The information they both know comes from not knowing, so it is the same. The main thing is that it needs hundreds of powerful gods to open it at the same time. After entering, you can only practice it for a month. There are many opportunities to practice and get opportunities. It depends on your own opportunities and the information inside. Anyone who enters can't do it after they come out. To outsiders, due to the limitations of heaven, I can't speak out even if I want to, and I can't even write about it. This is also the reason why the world knows so little information about the first place of training. If you don't know it, almost no one knows it. Gizmo summed it up, in other words, this is how much information mainlanders know about the first place of training. Ji Kong and Ju Chenjai nodded together. Gizmo raised his eyebrows, is it because the road to Zhongtian is cut off, so the way of heaven restricts the qualifications of people from Xuanhuan continent. The four of them looked at each other without disturbing Gizmo's words, which he was obviously thinking about himself. After a while, Gizmo said, "Fortunately, I am a soul body, so I should not be restricted by heaven. In this case, I will tell you about the situation after I entered, so that you can be prepared after entering. I know that's not all. Although the decision to enter the first place of training at that time was all made by the G family, people who also entered it could not tell the story of the experience inside. Gizmo was the one who had gone there after all, and now he is. The soul body is not restricted by heaven and can be spoken. The four of them could only listen and write it down each, and they could not speak out. Xianxia tried it, but she couldn't speak out what Gizmo said. There were indeed restrictions. Gizmo told the four people about his experience there in detail, and then thought about it carefully to make sure he didn't miss anything. Looking at the backs of the four people leaving, Gizmo sat on the top of the hall and looked at the lights of various mansions in the inner and outer cities. Xuanhuan City finally came to life again. After they come out of the first place of training, Xuanhuan City will be on a higher level. Gizmo has waited for 30,000 years and finally waited for this day. Although it is not exactly the same as the Xuanhuan City in his memory, with the smell of fireworks bit by bit, the vitality of Xuanhuan City is slowly recovering. Xianxia watched his mother and daughter go back to the backyard, and asked Zhizhong to go to the study room in the front yard. "Dad, what do you want to tell me?" Zhizhong naturally understood that Xianxia would not ask him to come to the study for no reason. Xianxia pointed to the chair. After the two of them sat down, he said, "What are your plans after entering?" Zhizhong's phoenix eyes condensed for a moment before he said, "I have just broken through. The possibility of breaking through again is not very high unless I encounter some unpredictable opportunities. Therefore, after entering this time, I will mainly accompany Luoluo to practice and make use of the abilities inside the resources will allow her to pass the test period of the saint level. I have already prepared the spiritual objects for her breakthrough. There will be unexpected gains when she returns here. As long as Luoluo can meet the conditions for her breakthrough, I will definitely let her succeed." Zhizhong didn't go into details, but he told Xianxia his plan, and that was indeed his plan. Otherwise, there would be no rush to enter the G family's secret realm to practice before entering the first training place. Xianxia nodded and said, "That's what I plan too, so let's work together, mainly to assist Luoluo's breakthrough." Zhizhong said, "It depends on the situation. Mom also needs a chance. If we have to separate, Dad will accompany Mom. It's too dangerous for Mom to be alone." Xianxia nodded, "I understand. The day after tomorrow is the time to enter. We will set off the day after tomorrow." Zhizhong set the time to go. He didn't want to leave too early, so he went to Phoenix Valley one day in advance to see how many people were going in and who they were. Although the people he informed were all good friends, the people they brought were not necessarily from the same family. He has thought of this a long time ago. This is also one of his plans. The more talented the people who enter, the better. This also means that there are fewer people who are opposite to them. The next day, Xianxia got up early and went to the kitchen to make breakfast for her family. She found that Feng Jiayan was already cooking in the kitchen. Xianxia hadn't eaten the food cooked by Feng Jiayan for a long time, and found that her cooking skills had improved again. There were only very few impurities in the food, which was already rare. It seems that as his cultivation level has improved, so has his cooking skills. Seeing that it would take a while for the meal to be ready, Xianxia went to find Zhizhong and planned to take out the Copper Pagoda Palace first. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 765. When Xianxia walked to the front yard, she saw Du Dainyu, her daughter Chen Jinwen, her son Chen Jinghe, and Sumyuxuan cleaning the yard. Since they all lived in Yu's mansion and there were no other servants available for the time being, Xian asked Du Dainu to bring his daughter, son, Feng Jiayan, and Xuanhuan over to help. Chen Moran, Tian Gaiu, and Lu Chenhan asked him to take them away to help. The four of them immediately stopped to salute when they saw Yan Xiangluo. Yan Xiangluo waved her hand for them to continue and went to the front yard. Ji Zhuzhong didn't sleep all night. After practicing, he sensed that Yan Xiangluo was coming and immediately quit the practice. He didn't open the courtyard door, and Yan Xiangluo opened the door and came in. Seeing Ji Zhuzhong standing in the yard, he directly explained his purpose. Ji Zhuzhong said, "I discussed it with my father yesterday. He said that although the students who will use it most in the future should be the students of the college, if they are placed in the college, they will be regarded as college students by default, so they should be kept in a separate place. When the time comes, I arrange for people to manage it separately, and people who enter must get a token to allow entry before they can enter." "Then have you thought about where to place the copper tower?" Yan Xiangluo agreed with this. Ji Zhuzhong pointed in the direction of Ji Garden and said, "Put it near Ji Garden, build a separate courtyard, and then arrange for people to guard and manage it." "Let's go now," Yan Xiangluo said. "Okay, let's set it up first, and then let people build the yard. People who can't enter the training place can go in and train. Let Anan manage it for the time being," Ji Zhuzhong said. "You are good at arranging people." Yan Xiangluo was speechless. "My younger brother was only 6 years old and was arranged to live." Ji Zhuzhong smiled and said, "You can rest assured if you leave it to someone else." Yan Xiangluo rolled her eyes at him and said, "The copper tower is contracted with me. No one can take it away if it is placed there." The two of them said this and walked towards Ji Garden together. Gizmo liked to stay in Ji Garden. When he saw them coming towards Ji Garden, he thought they were coming to Ji Garden, but seeing what they were checking outside Ji Garden, well, I went out curiously. When the two saw Gizmo coming, they expressed their thoughts. Gizmo was shocked by Yu Xiangluo's grandeur. She took out such a magic weapon for everyone to use. It seemed that she meant to keep it here forever. Not everyone has this kind of heart. At this time, he somewhat understood that the cultivation of all those who followed them advanced very quickly. The main reason was not because they had experienced magic weapons, but because they had a broad mind. They are willing to share opportunities with recognized people. Just like entering the first place of training this time, although they have their own goals, if it were others, they might not be willing to share such an opportunity with others, for fear that others would surpass them. "How big is the copper tower you are talking about?" Gizmo asked. "No one here knows Zhuyuan city better than him." After Yan Xiangluo told the size of the copper tower, Gizmo pointed to the east side of Ji Garden and said, "Put it over there. It used to be the training ground for the royal disciples. Although there seems to be no trace on the surface now, it's hard to clean it up at a glance. You should be able to see the foundation and square of Xiaole Field. The foundation and square are paved with black gold stone. There will be no change in even 100,000 years, let alone 30,000 years." Ji Zhuzhong and Yan Xiangluo's eyes suddenly lit up. Such a place was simply prepared for the bronze tower. The two of them immediately followed Gizmo. As soon as Gizmo raised his sleeves, his strong soul power rushed to the place in front of him. Like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves, all the dust wherever the soul power went was picked up and thrown away. At one point, a large dirt bag was formed. The exposed ground is indeed a smooth black gold stone ground, and there is a circle of foundations, which should be the foundations of the previous training ground's walls. Yan Xiangluo's figure flashed and landed in the center, and Ji Zhuzhong followed. "This place is almost prepared for the copper tower," Yan Xiangluo said happily. Ji Zhudian nodded, "Indeed." As soon as Yan Xiangluo thought about it, the copper tower was released from the space and landed firmly in the center. Gizmo's eyes shrank when he saw the copper tower. This was no ordinary training weapon. At least the space masters and weapon refiners in their world couldn't create such a high-level magic weapon. This thing must have come from Xianxia. How did something from Xianxia fall into the hands of the little girl? This girl's luck is really extraordinary. The color of the copper tower itself is like gold, which contrasts well with the dark and shiny ground. It is very harmonious, as if it was born to be one. Gizmo said with some nostalgia, there was originally a tower here, but it was not a training tower, but a book tower. All kinds of books and kung fu inherited by the G family are in it, and so are the children of the G family after they awaken their spiritual roots. Come here to find the exercises that suit them best. Yan Xiangloo blinked when he heard this. What a coincidence. There are also martial arts and a weapons arsenal in the copper tower. Gizmo was no longer surprised when he heard what Yuan Xiangloo said, but he understood why the emperor of the G family at that time asked him to stay and witness the future glory of the G family. Even if the G family is no longer a royal family, it will still stand at the top of the continent and become the top family. It's just that the family's heirs still need time to multiply. Xian and the others who were busy saw that they had actually taken out the training tower, and they all came out of the air and landed outside the copper tower. Master, Mistress, will this copper tower be placed here from now on? Ruan Xiangloo nodded. Well, you arrange for people to build the yard today. During the month when we are away, our own people can go in and practice, but under the premise that their respective responsibilities cannot be delayed, they must be handed over to an for management first, and wait for us. I'll come back and make detailed arrangements on how to manage people. Yes, Xian was extremely excited. He was just wondering how to improve the strength of the newly recruited boys in Black Feather Guard, when the opportunity came. There were quite a few people from the Black Feather Guards among the people who came around. They were all very happy when they heard that they could go in for training. After settling in, Yan Xiangloo didn't need to worry about the rest, and went back to have breakfast with Zhizhong. As soon as the two of them returned to Yan's house, a snow-white shadow flew over and landed accurately in Yan Xiangloo's arms. It was the cloud that had not been seen for many days. Yan Xiangloo was very happy to see Xuanhuan and stroked its soft little body. Xuanhuan, where have you been? As soon as she met Zhizhong told her that Xuanhuan had gone out without saying anything happened. When she went there, Yan Xiangloo tried to contact Xuanhuan, but she couldn't. Thinking that Xuanhuan had regained the strength of the divine beast, she was not worried. She was so busy these days that she did not think of Xuanhuan. Now that the cloud has returned, she remembers that her spiritual pet is already a real divine beast. She still doesn't know what kind of divine beast it is. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 766. Xuanhuan enjoyed Yan Xiangloo's touch and said, Master, I sensed the aura of the 9 heavens in a place, so I went over to take a look. Yu Xiangloo and Zhizhong were both stunned. The aura of Zhizhong? Could it be that there is a special aura in the 9 heavens that can be sensed by even higher continents? What's the result? Yan Xiangloo asked. Xuanhuan sighed. There is indeed the aura of the 9 heavens, but it is isolated. Even if I regain the strength of the divine beast, I can't break through that isolation. Yan Xiangloo thought that she couldn't get in touch with it, so she asked, is it because of the special environment there that I couldn't get in touch with you before? Xuanhuan nodded, yes, although I can't break through that layer of isolating power, I am very close to that power, and the isolating atmosphere there can cut off all spiritual connections. Yan Xiangloo and Zhizhong asked almost in unison, where is that place? They want to see for themselves such a power that can isolate all spiritual consciousness, and they also want to feel the breath of the 9 heavens, what kind of breath it is like. Xuanhuan shook his head. I don't know where it is. I just arrived at it based on my perception. I don't know exactly where on this continent it is. It's very illusory there. The two looked at each other. Originally, they wanted to take a look, but now it seems that not everyone can go there. The clouds are mythical beasts and they all go there based on their perception and thoughts. They don't know the specific place unless they also have the strength. An opportunity can be sensed. I originally thought I could use that place to find out what the relationship was between Xianxia and the higher continent, but now it seems that their strength is not enough. Yanziongloo no longer dwells on this issue. The most important thing now is to improve his cultivation. As long as his strength reaches a certain level, everything will be easily solved. She is more curious now about what kind of mythical beast the cloud is. The strength of the mythical beast has been restored. Why is it still such a small ball? Xuanhuan, what kind of mythical beast are you? Why are you still a small ball now? Xuanhuan's dark eyes flashed with helplessness. Master, I know what kind of divine beast I am, but I can't say it. When the opportunity comes, Master will know what kind of divine beast I am. Until then, I can only maintain my current status form, but it doesn't affect my strength. Xuanhuan released a trace of the aura of a divine beast, and Yanziongloo felt a distant and powerful power. I just released a little bit of power. The real power is much stronger than this, Xuanhuan explained. Yanziongloo was speechless and glanced at Jizhong. Jizhong knew this from the Ji family's secret training realm, so it was not surprising. And he believed what Xuanhuan said was true, because both his spirit beast Wuji and Baihu felt a sense of fear when they saw Xuanhuan regaining strength. Although it is not very obvious, it is his own spiritual beast after all, and he can feel every slightest change in his mood. Hence, Xuanhuan's status as a mythical beast must surpass the 4 mythical beasts. After all, the white tiger is one of the 4 mythical beasts. In fact, now that I think about it, Xuanhuan's ability to easily become the eldest brother of these spiritual beasts is related to its own strength as a divine beast. Let nature take its course and don't think too much. Jizhong looked at Yanziongloo and said. No matter what, Xuanhuan is her contracted beast. Even if it is a divine beast, it cannot betray its master. As long as it does no harm to Yanziongloo, it doesn't matter to Jizhong. The opponents they have to face are not generally strong. The stronger the Luoluo spirit beast is, the stronger it will be for them. Yanziongloo nodded and rubbed Xuanhuan's little body. Don't worry, one day we will go to Zhongtian. Some of the information Xuanhuan remembered from it before should have happened in Zhongtian. This is probably why Xuanhuan, who has restored the power of the divine beast, is so sensitive to the breath of Zhongtian. Now it seems that their main battlefield will be Zhongtian, whether it is Xuanhuan or she and Jizhong. Wanting to understand this, Yanziongloo suddenly felt that Zhuyuan continent was actually so small. A few months ago when they first arrived, they felt that the 9UN continent was so powerful that they could not breathe. Now they actually feel that the 9UN continent is like an ant-like existence. Let her realize that only when you stand high can you see far. How high you stand determines how far you can see. The height they are standing on now is still not high enough. Xuanhuan nodded. Well, that day won't be far away. Xuanhuan glanced at Jizhong. After all, it had restored the strength and memory of the divine beast and knew its mission. And his fate was deeply tied to the 2 people in front of him, from the past to the present and even to the next. When will Jishan become a divine plant? Yanziongloo has not forgotten that she also has a divine plant. They have all arrived at the higher continent, and Xuanhuan has regained the strength of the divine beast. Why is there still no movement from Zhetian? Jishan, however, those who are reborn with ancient power are divine plants. Regardless of whether plants or animals are reborn with ancient power, rebirth is conditional, not unlimited. If you have not cultivated a divine beast or a divine plant after rebirth, you can still be reborn, But you only have 3 chances. If you fail to grow into a divine beast or divine plant 3 times, you will have no chance to be reborn. But if you cultivate to a divine beast or a divine plant after rebirth, you will still have 3 chances to be reborn after you die. Jishan only has this chance left. As its owner, Xianxia is quite worried about Jishan. Master, don't you want to enter the first training place in the mainland to practice? When the time comes, throw Zetian out and let him find his own opportunities, Yuntuan said unceremoniously. Although Zetian is its younger brother and usually takes care of it, Yuntuan is not polite when it comes to improving its strength. Even it has to go through trials and tribulations to restore the strength of the divine beast. For the fallen Shenzi, for me, there is even more to experience. No one can replace this. After listening to Yuntuan's words, Yanxiangluo understood that Zetian could not be cultivated too comfortably. He had to be ruthless and throw him out, allowing him to go through some hardships before he could truly become a again and possess the power of a god. Okay, let's do what you said. After entering, let Jishan come out to practice. Yanxiangluo believed that Jishan's perseverance and determination would make good use of this opportunity. Yuntuan nodded, don't worry, master, I will watch over it. Although it cannot say, it does not mean that it does not know what the first training place in the 9 UN continent is like. It is very clear. Not only is it an excellent place for Zetian to improve his strength and become a god, but for his master and Ji Zhizhong, it is also the best place for training besides Zhizhong Tian. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 767. For people from the advanced continent, people in the advanced continent can stay in the training place for up to a month. The master must seize the time to practice after entering. Yuntuan can't say anything else, but this sentence can still be a reminder. Yanxiangluo and Ji Zhizhong immediately understood what Yuntuan meant. His words were not just a random word of encouragement, but had a profound meaning. It means that the first training place in the mainland is not an ordinary place. It can be said that not only people from the high continent can go into experience, there should be people from other continents who can go in, but they are people from the same high continent or from the 9 heavens. Can you also go in and practice? This news really shocked the two of them, and then they suddenly turned to look at each other. Obviously, they both thought of the same thing. Yuntuan is Yanxiangluo's spiritual pet after all, and he knows what they are thinking when he sees their expressions. One word extinguished the small fire they had just ignited. The first place of experience can only be exited from where you enter. Yanxiangluo and Ji Zhizhong's eyes dimmed as expected. Although Yuntuan's words did not violate the laws of heaven on this continent, they were both smart people, and they could immediately think of the deep meaning hidden in his words. In other words, the first training place can be entered not only by people from higher continents like them, but also by people from other higher continents, and even people from the 9 heavens can enter, but people from all continents and even the 9 heavens can enter. After entering, you can only see people from your own continent, and you cannot see or encounter people from other continents. Yanxiangluo and Ji Zhizhong's curiosity about the first training place was instantly aroused. What kind of magical place is this place of experience? Who created such a magical place, or was it formed naturally in ancient times? Before, they just thought that the first training place was the highest training place in the 9 UN continent. Going there was to improve their cultivation strength, find opportunities to help Yanxiangluo break through to the level, and complete the last level of the Pangu flower blooming cultivation technique. Now look, the purpose of coming in this time is not just that. Yanxiangluo rubbed Yuntuan's little body and said, don't worry, we will cherish this opportunity. After all, it is very difficult to open it once, and it requires hundreds of god-level experts on the mainland to do it at the same time. Thinking of this, Ji Zhizhong's eyes narrowed. He seemed to have overlooked one of the most important things. Yanxiangluo noticed the change in his aura, turned to look at him and asked, What's wrong? Luo, do you feel that we have overlooked a very important issue? Xuanhuan asked with a frown. What's the problem? Yanxiang Luo asked doubtfully. Why does Yun's Palace set the first place award in the continental competition as the place to enter the first training ground? Xuanhuan asked. This question made Yanxiang Luo stunned. Why did Yun's Palace set the reward for first place in the continental competition as entering the first training place? After all, the hundreds of powerful men with cultivation levels above the gods needed to open the first training ground must come from Yun's Palace, which consumes a lot of strength. Doing this doesn't seem to be of any benefit to them, Yun's Palace. The most important thing is, if Yun's Palace can open the first training place, then if my father didn't enter last time, did they also quietly open the first training place to let the people of Yun's Palace enter when the world didn't know it? What about experience? The first training ground can only be opened once every 3 years. Or, in other words, Yunshang Palace is a lackey of Yunshang Tian. Could the arrangement of Yunshang Palace be ordered by someone from Yunshang Tian? If so, what is the purpose of the people in the clouds? You don't want to cultivate rivals for yourself, do you? Thinking that the number one in the mainland in the past would all enter Yun's Palace, Yanxiang Luo immediately understood that this was Yun's Palace's opportunity to cultivate a powerful henchman for himself. So last year, the reward for the first place in the continental competition was temporarily cancelled and the entry into the first training ground was temporarily cancelled. Was it because my father was a weirdo who didn't want to go to Yun's Palace? If this is the case, then it was not because there were not enough 100 strong men to open the first training place, but because the people who wanted to enter the first training place were not from their Yun's Palace. And the reason why this year we did not adopt the method to deal with our father last time is that one method cannot be used twice, which will make the world suspicious. Then will the people in Yun's Palace watch Xuanhuan go in like this? Or with their help? They figured it out too late. The day after tomorrow was the opening of the first training ground. If the people in Yunshan Palace wanted to do anything, they had already made arrangements. What will they do? Yanxiang Luo looked at Xuanhuan and asked. Such a brain cell burning problem should be left to Xuanhuan, the person with the largest brain. Xuanhuan's eyes flashed with a fierce expression. It's nothing more than failing to open the first training place. A cold light flashed through Yanxiang Luo's apricot eyes. If this was the case, how could they solve it? After all, the hundreds of god-level powerhouses who opened the first training place were all from Yun's Palace. Xuanhuan raised the corners of his lips. Not everyone will have a problem and the activation will not be successful. As long as one of them has a problem with his power during the activation will fail. The first training ground cannot be opened, which is a shame for Yun's Palace, but they will make this shame to the most inconspicuous level. After all, the last time it was because one of their 100 strong men had a problem, and the opportunity to enter the training ground was wasted. If they can't afford to lose such a large number of people before wasting an opportunity, then only one of them will have a problem. Only one of the 100 strong men had a problem. For the world, although it is a pity that the first training place has not been opened, there are still 99 strong men who will not underestimate Yun's Palace. For Yun's Palace, said, this is the least damaging way to reputation. They know very well that Xuanhuan has no friends who have reached the level of a god, and there is a constraint on the first training place. If it is not opened successfully this time, it will have to wait 3 years to open it again. If something fails in an instant, they will feel that Xuanhuan has no time to react and the matter should be a foregone conclusion. Their people couldn't get in, and they would rather waste this opportunity to get in than let Xuanhuan in. Yanxiang Luo's eyes lit up, so we are not helpless. If only one of them has a problem, they can really solve the problem, but they have to be more prepared. Xuanhuan said to Luo, Luo will have to come forward about this matter. Okay, I'll go right away. Yan Xianglou stopped going to have breakfast and asked Ji Hong to tell her parents that she would be back soon, and then left. Yun Tuan was put on her shoulders. With the magical beast Yun Tuan in Ji Hong, she felt free to go and do things by herself. However, things will not be that simple, and he has to take other precautions. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 768. Ji Kong simply didn't go to have breakfast. After all, it wasn't made by Luoluo and he wasn't interested in eating it. He went to inform Xianxia and his wife, and then went out. The husband and wife of the concubine did not say about their daughters and Ji Hong. They rarely asked them. They knew that they were all successful people, especially Ji Hong. They had a lot of thoughts and had not found him. After having breakfast with my son and Chi Hao, I went about various things. He came back an hour after the fragrance fell, and then he started busy in his yard. Immediately, the whole family could smell the incense of the elixir. Xian and the others who were busy in the inner city could also smell the strong fragrance of elixir. They knew it was the incense that fell into the alchemy. That's right, Yan Xiang fell in the alchemy, and the directly prepared elixirs were almost delivered. Now there are too many people going to the first training place, and more elixirs are needed. It is impossible for everyone to be together, so she has to prepare enough elixirs for everyone. This is also one of the guarantees for their lives in the first training place. The medicinal materials in the medicine field in Pangu space are disappearing at a speed visible to the naked eye, while the elixirs in her yard are packed in pots, each pot containing one kind. It wasn't until the next morning that Yan Xianglou stopped refining elixirs. She prepared the elixirs for herself, Ji Kong, and her parents separately, and then called Xian, Chang Feng, and Jin Yutang to prepare the rest. They sorted the elixirs into categories, and then distributed them to their own people, one for each person. She also specially prepared some elixirs for her younger brother and her young apprentice Ji Hao. Both of them had a lot of elixirs that she gave them, and this time they all had elixirs that had never been given to them before. Although they may not need it, they will be away from home for a month, so they are prepared for any trouble. Ji Hong also carved many mysterious patterns and distributed them to several people. As for Xian and the others, they never lacked the mysterious patterns in their hands. Although Xian is also an alchemist and is now a 6th level alchemist, he is incomparable to the god level alchemist Yu Xianglou. Xian sighed in his heart while filling the pills. Compared with others, alas, we still have to live. In front of his master and his wife, if he did not have a strong mentality, he would have been tortured to death by their talents many times. At noon, Yan Xianglou cooked a large table of food himself, and the family and Chi Hao had a meal together. There are Chen Moran, Tian Guyu, and Lu Chenhan guarding the house, Feng Jiayan for food, Du Danyu for life, Chen Jinwen, Chen Jinghe, and Anan Chi Hao for company. Yu Xianglou is not worried about her younger brother and Chi Hao. There are black feather guards in the outer city of Juyuan City, Ji Hong's people are controlling the inner city, and there is also the ancestor Gizmo, so they are not worried. After all, although Gizmo is a soul body, his strength is unmatched by anyone on the mainland. This is the only benefit he gets after becoming a soul body, and his cultivation level has reached the highest level in the mainland. After lunch, Yan Xianglou first sent the people gathered by Ji Hong into Pangu space. She carved out a piece of territory in Pangu space alone, separated by mind plates. Everyone was waiting here and could not see the space. Other things and scenes inside were surrounded by mist, and no one could get out without Yan Xianglou's permission. Although she doesn't mind exposing the existence of Pangu space now, she doesn't want to let everyone have a thorough understanding of the space. Finally, I sent Xianxia and his wife in. Their treatment was much better and they could move around as they pleased in the Pangu space. Xian and the others were the first ones to come in. They behaved very well and didn't ask any questions they shouldn't. They all sat cross-legged on the ground to practice. No one went to explore what was beyond the surrounding mist. Such a rich aura mixed with ancient aura, it would be a waste not to use it for cultivation. Xuanhuan and Yanxianglou looked at each other and left Xuanhuan city. At this time, there was a sea of people outside the entrance of the first training place. Although they could not go in, they were too curious about Xuanhuan and wanted to see with their own eyes what kind of person he was. Therefore, so many people came, many of whom were people who had been guarding outside Xuanhuan city for a long time. A group of people from Yunzhang Palace have already arrived. They came in advance to maintain order and prevent people from approaching the entrance to the first place of origin. As for the 100 strong men who opened the first training ground, they have not yet arrived. Zhizhikong and Yanxianglou went directly to the nearby Phoenix Valley. Fortunately, these people are very smart. Although the Phoenix Valley is also crowded with people, they are very quiet. Their respective families are staying in one place. Although they are also checking each other out, they all understand each other tacitly and do not make any noise, even breathing. All restrained. The people of Xuanhuan sect are eye-catching. Not only are there many people, they also wear uniform sect costumes. Xuanhuan sect is a sect that not many people know about on the mainland. Therefore, most people are guessing which sect they are from and can actually get close to Zhizhong. Coming out of the first place of training this time, this sect may soar into the sky. After all, there are so many disciples with cultivation levels above the saint level. Yanxianglou and Zhizhong came directly to Phoenix Valley. As soon as they appeared, the atmosphere in Phoenix Valley suddenly surged, and then calmed down. Zhizhong was very satisfied with their restraint. The two of them came down from the valley. The moment when two equally stunning figures landed hand in hand, everyone was amazed. This scene was talked about by many people until many years later, and the immortal family has always been their exclusive possession. The two of them landed directly in front of the Xuanhuan section. Deng Chang said nothing. He raised his hand and all the disciples of the sect, including him, swore an oath together. Zhizhong said, "Don't resist. I'll send you in first, and then I'll let you out after I enter the first training place. The spiritual energy inside is very rich, so you can practice in it first. After all, we have to enter the first training place tomorrow morning. It is just afternoon, so it would be a waste not to spend the whole afternoon and night practicing." The two of them agreed that Zhizhong would take part in everything, temporarily making these people think that Zhizhong had a small world space. "Understood," the disciples of Xuanhuan sect said in unison. Yanxianglou quietly wrapped all the Xuanhuan sect disciples with her mental power. With a thought, everyone disappeared. Other people watching were shocked and knew in their hearts that this was a portable space like a small world. How lucky it was to be able to encounter such an opportunity. Just as the two of them thought, they both believed that the portable space like a small world belonged to Zhizhong. While I was shocked that Zhizhong had such a small world, I was also shocked at how strong Zhizhong's spirit was. With so many people on site, it takes a lot of mental power to be sent into the small world space. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 769. At least they think they don't have that strong mental power. I thought involuntarily that the bloodline of the G family was indeed strong. The two of them ignored everyone's thoughts. Zhizhong nodded to Xuanhuan and did not call them big brother. It was not appropriate to announce their relationship at this time. Xuanhuan naturally understood what Zhizhong meant and just nodded. To outsiders, it was just that they knew each other. After the people brought by Xuanhuan made an oath, Yanxianglou sent them into Pangu space. Zhizhong and Yanxiangluo, no matter who they bring, whether they are members of their family or not, as long as they make an oath, they can enter. This is their purpose. No matter how many people enter the first training place, others will not get your chance, but they can use this opportunity to turn many people into neutrals. What they want is very simple, as long as they don't become their enemies. The real enemies still have to be dealt with by themselves. The Fang family was next. Fang 11er didn't show much affection to Yanxiangluo. She knew what to do with so many people at this time. Fang Xier and his brother made an oath together with the people they brought. Yanxiangluo nodded to her and sent them all into Pangu space. Every time the two of them came to a group, they consciously made an oath without any unnecessary nonsense. There are also those who want to fish in troubled waters. They seem to have made an oath with everyone, but in fact they have not made an oath to get in. How could Zhizhong allow such a loophole to exist? In fact, he used the control mysterious pattern without anyone seeing it. He had carved these in advance. Controlling the mysterious patterns can control everything individually. These mysterious patterns are used to control those who have not made an oath and want to sneak in. When Yanxiangluo sent these people into the Pangu space, will leave behind those who have not sworn the oath. Therefore, when the first group of people with such thoughts were left, everyone's eyes fell on a few people. Looking at each other, they immediately realized that none of them had made an oath, so they hurriedly made an oath. But Zhizhong would not give another chance to such a person who did not keep his promise. Even if he hurriedly made an oath, it would not work. Zhizhong raised his hand and landed a mysterious pattern on several people without being polite, and they suddenly fell into coma. Zhizhong looked at the confused and somewhat frightened eyes of everyone and explained, "Just let them sleep. They will wake up when we go in tomorrow morning." The explanation was very simple, but it made everyone understand that Zhizhong was a person who couldn't tolerate sand in his eyes. They say they will wake up tomorrow morning, but during this period, these people have no protection at all. Whether they can wake up as scheduled depends on their luck. However, in their opinion, the luck of these people is not very good. They can miss such a huge opportunity. This is extremely bad luck. At the same time, they were also shocked by Zhizhong's cultivation strength. They wanted to know what kind of cultivation Zhizhong was now. It was clear that he had not yet broken through to the divine level when he participated in the continental competition. No matter how talented he was, he would not have broken through to the divine level in 3 months. Level it up. How do they know that Zhizhong not only broke through to the level, but also crossed a large level? After Zhizhong killed the chicken and honored the monkey with one hand, the rest became much smoother, and no one dared to fish in troubled waters anymore. Even those who had this idea before honestly gave it up, unless they didn't want to go into the first training place. At the same time, everyone who enters Pangu space will be stunned for a while. When I was shocked by the intensity of the spiritual energy inside, I also saw Xianxia and the others who were sitting cross-legged on the ground practicing. Therefore, everyone who came in consciously found a place to sit down and practice before wondering what was behind the mist. Thinking of Zhizhong's act of killing a chicken to scare the monkeys, no one dared to check it, not even to release their spiritual consciousness. So that the people who came in later became more honest. After coming in, they recovered their senses and quickly found a place to sit down and practice. Yanxiangluo sent group after group of people in, and saw some familiar faces among these people, such as Li Changhao, the captain of the Changqing mercenary team who was hired on the way to Xiangyang city. They seem to be doing well and their cultivation has improved. But she had taken the yan-changing pill at that time, and now they don't recognize her even face to face. Seeing Li Changhao suddenly reminded her of the person she had cursed for 3 days and 3 nights with the tracking mystical talisman. She wondered how he was doing now. She didn't know at this time that the person she had cursed for 3 days and 3 nights with the tracking mystical talisman was also among the people she sent in. What surprised her the most was that Xuanhuan actually contacted people from the Shishi and Daqian auction house, because she saw the young masters of the Shishi and Daqian auction house, and they had quite a few people with them. There is also Huo Jingbai, the young owner of Xianxia restaurant, the largest restaurant in mainland China. What surprised Yan Xiangluo the most was that the late-year-old mainland young master Lu Yu also came with someone. Seeing Yan Xiangluo standing next to Xuanhuan, his eyes paused for a while, but he moved away knowing the current situation. Yan Xiangluo thought to himself, it is worthy of being born in the home of the Lord of the mainland. The reason why he can become the old young master is definitely because of Lu Yu's own strength. Judging from the way he can bend and stretch now, it is not something ordinary people can do. Yan Xiangluo saw people from the top families in various continents here, including people from the main family of the continent, but the one who surprised her was Lu Yu. What was even more surprising was that Xuanhuan could put aside the holiday and allow him to come. In such a comparison, the man he chose is the one with the broadest heart, and he is not only beautiful inside. Many people from Qinglun Mountain also came, including Wei Changjiao, the third son of the headmaster, who was also the person who carried Yu Ji's soul. However, when she saw that Xuanhuan had no objection, she knew that he had a plan in mind, so she didn't care about Wei Changjiao's affairs. Anyway, if you want to follow them in, you must make an oath not to be their enemy or do anything harmful to Zhuyuan city. This is enough. She doesn't care what Yu Ji thinks. As for what Wei Changjiao, that is, Yu Ji will do in the future, it depends on his own destiny. After all, after helping him merge his soul body with his body, his cultivation talent has dropped a lot. If she doesn't take action in this life, Wei Changjiao will it is impossible to go far in cultivation. After sending everyone into Pangu space, Xuanhuan glanced at the unconscious people on the ground, the cold light in his phoenix eyes not concealed at all. Those who played tricks in front of him, Xuanhuan, were kind to him if they could spare their lives. Yu Xiangluo said, I will send them out of Phoenix Valley. If someone else came and saw them like this, she would have to explain, she didn't think it was necessary. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 770. Xuanhuan shook his head and said, no need, everyone is already here. He has already seen it, and everyone they have contacted has come. In this case, Yan Xiangluo didn't want to bother with that matter. What she hated the most was people who broke their promises. It's time to start tomorrow morning, it's still early now, what should we do? Xuanhuan held her hand and placed an invisible mysterious pattern on their bodies. Of course they came to watch the excitement. Yan Xiangluo immediately understood that Xuanhuan wanted to go and have a look at the entrance of the first training place. Let's go. Xingmu's eyes lit up. She also wanted to see what the hundreds of strong men in Yun's Hang Palace looked like. Since I came to Zhuyuan continent, I have never seen so many powerful people who have attained the level of gods. The two of them went to the entrance of the first training place. The entrance is not far from the Phoenix Valley, at the foot of a cliff. The two of them chose a spot on the cliff where they could clearly see the raised rocks below and sat down, looking at the people below. Those wearing white robes are the people from Yun's Hang Palace. Xuanhuan pointed to a group of people wearing white robes at the foot of the cliff. Yan Xiangluo looked over, her eyes fell on one of the figures and asked, look at the third man on the left, have we met before? Xuanhuan looked around and saw that the man Yan Xiangluo was talking about looked familiar. Feng's eyes narrowed and she said, Lu Xing's, the current celebrity in Yun's Hang Palace, has a very good relationship with Huo Jingbai, the young master of Xianxia restaurant. It is said that they grew up together. Lu Xing's was able to establish himself in Yun's Hang Palace and Huo Jingbai did a lot big financial resources. Yan Xiangluo also remembered that she once saw the two of them eating at Xianxia restaurant. At that time, she only knew Huo Jingbei's identity, but she really didn't know Lu Xing's identity. She has a new understanding of Xuanhuan's control over information. The two of them are almost always together, and they go to practice when they are apart. She knows how busy Xuanhuan is, but in such a busy situation, he can't even think of someone like Lu Zeng's. He knew all the information and knew who he was just by looking at him. The Huo family is also the lackey of Yun's Hang Palace, Yan Xianluo asked. If this is the case, the sphere of influence of Yun's Hang Palace is really hard to estimate. What's more, Huo Jingbei was in her space and had sworn not to be their enemy or do anything harmful to Zhuyuan City. No, it's just that Huo Jingbei and Lu Zeng's have a very good relationship. Huo Jingbei is not an easy person to be, the young master of the Huo family Xuanhuan explained to her. Thinking of demigod Wei Lan in Yun's Hang Palace, Yan Xianluo sighed, wondering which side demigod Wei Lan would be on now. He is Xuanhuan's fiancé, and Yun's Hang Gong is Yun Shangtian's lackey. The two of them are now at odds with Yun's Hang Gong and Yun Shangtian. Demigod Wei Lan is a member of Yun's Hang Palace after all, so what will he choose? When did Lu Zeng's become a celebrity in Yun's Hang Palace, and how did he become a celebrity in Yun's Hang Palace? Yan Xianluo asked curiously. Xuanhuan said, just after the Continental Hegemony tournament, it seemed that he caught the eye of the palace master of Yun's Hang Palace. No one knows the specific reason. Ruan Xianluo raised her eyebrows. There must be some reason for people to be able to enter the eyes of the Lord of Yun's Hang Palace. The people in Yun's Hang Palace are all above the level. Lu Zeng's talent seems not to be enough to make the Lord of the First Palace. To the point of treating him with such special regard. Because she didn't have a good impression of Yun's Hang Palace, Yan Xianluo felt that Lu Zeng's was not a good person for some reason. Perhaps because of the instinct of the Heavenly Master, she felt that there would definitely be an intersection with Lu Zeng's, which was not a good thing. Yan Xianluo frowned. She used her soul control power to look at Lu Zeng's. At this look, she finally knew why she felt like this. Lu Zeng's has the aura of a soul body that she is very familiar with. There are two soul bodies living in Lu Zeng's body. One is his own soul body, and the other is the intruder. Just looking at the state of Lu Zeng's own soul body, the soul body that invaded his body was of his own free will. In other words, someone used his body to temporarily carry the soul body, and he himself agreed. There are two situations in this situation. One is that the other party is dead and has no body. The second is that the other person's body is inconvenient to come here, so I choose someone else's body to work here temporarily. And she happened to have seen another soul body in Lu Zeng's body. It is the man who once took away her soul. How long did it take for him to get rid of the paralysis caused by his own soul? No, he probably hasn't gotten rid of the paralysis yet, otherwise he wouldn't be using Lu Zeng's body. At that time, I didn't kill the trace of his soul, and asked him to go back and send a message, telling his body that the next time he saw him was the day of his death. In fact, this reason was just to confuse him. Her main purpose was to paralyze the other party's soul so that he would temporarily have no energy to cause trouble for her again. Give yourself time to grow up. Now it seems that he is indeed very capable. Even when his soul is paralyzed, he can separate a ray of soul and come here to pursue him from another life. It seems that he is very eager to kill himself. Why did he have to kill himself? What grudge did you have against him in your last life? The experience of being captured last time made her know that the man knew her very well, so he must be someone very close to her in the previous life. Why would someone close to her have such a murderous intention towards her? Is he a person from the clouds above heaven or a person from the ninth heaven? Yan Xianluo knew her own soul-controlling abilities very well. Although her celestial master strength at that time had not reached its current level, she would not fail to deal with the opponent. It stands to reason that he can only use spiritual power to seal other souls that have not been paralyzed to prevent the paralysis from continuing to spread. Even if he reacts quickly, at least 1/3 of the soul will be paralyzed, and the other 2/3 will be sealed. He couldn't do anything, so how could he still send a ray of soul to the 9UN continent? This is what Yan Xianglou is most puzzled about. Perhaps her understanding of strong men is still too narrow. There is a soul body temporarily living in Lu Xing's body. He is the man whose soul was taken away that time, Yan Xianglou said to Ji Zhang. Since the two of them arrived here, they have been using sound transmission to speak. There are too many strong people down here. If they speak directly, they will be discovered soon. After hearing what Yan Xianglou said, Ji Zhang's eyes narrowed. The person who took away Luo's soul last time is here again? He immediately looked at Lu Xing's again. It seems that his target should still be you. He will go into practice tomorrow. We will find a way to deal with him when he comes out. Now let's go into the space. Ji Zhang immediately made a decision. He also discovered that although Lu Xing's movements were not obvious, he was actually looking towards them. He must have sensed something, but he didn't see them, so he was not sure.